And here we have this concept of character arc, which is sometimes sniffed at by more literary writers. I've noticed in the UK, it's like an American term, but it's very much part of the everyday parlance of script development and filmmaking. Character arc is simply that movement of the character from beginning to end, how they change through the interaction with the plot. It's the implication that all characters go on a journey, and that journey is both external and internal. So when you're thinking about your character, you're thinking about the external journey of the plot of Thelma and Louise getting away from the cops. But there's an internal journey that Thelma and Louise are going through, which is Thelma, the kind of child woman, is having to grow up. And Louise, who's rather uptight, needs to loosen up. And so they're going on different trajectories through the film. Internally, they're shape-shifting by degrees through the interaction with the incidents of the plot and the people they meet. They are changing. And we get to the end of the film, when they look at each other, we understand they've arrived at this point, and where it's inevitable that they have to go over that cliff. So the concept of journey relates to the character arc, the internal and external changes. And on this journey, the character is tested. That's what the obstacles are. You put more and more difficult obstacles in their way. And so they have to figure out how to get to where they're trying to get to in more ingenious ways, which is entertaining and interesting for the audience. This is the basic model. It requires in the character, therefore, conventionally, strength of will, tenacity, courage, and ingenuity, just like in a fairy tale. And in the book I talk about how fairy tales and the detective story are very good models for a lot of cinematic narratives. Desire is central to the classic form of filmmaking. Desire in our lives as well, driving us on, confusing us. We never know how things are going to turn out with characters in films or in our own lives. The characters are reflections of ourselves. Stories about character desire want, but sometimes need. A lot of stories are constructed quite simply around what a character wants is not what they need, or a character realizing what they want to be a gigolo in New York in the late 60s is not what they need to be loved. Midnight Cowboy. That's the simple through line. That's the simple reversal of Midnight Cowboy. And actually looking for simplicity, even in a complex piece like a feature-length film, is something you should constantly be looking forward to be able to reduce it to one line that embodies the dramatic problem, that embodies the dramatic energy at the center of your idea, to be constantly working for that. If you can't bring it down to 2 or 3 lines that really embody the dramatic narrative, then you're still searching for it. Characters are not static, but what you're writing in your dramas and in your screenplay, what you're writing and what you're working with your actors in your film, are characters in interaction with each other, in conflict with each other, and it's through the conflict they're exposed. They expose their values, they expose what they believe in, they expose their malevolence or their intentions. That's what the drama is. That's where the story energy comes from, that clash and contrast between different characters' desires. And the way film can photograph the internal lives of characters is a powerful idea, and it's something that as a screenwriter you need to integrate. The idea that the camera can photograph thoughts and feelings. If we know, for example, what a character values, if we know that this woman is the mother of that child, when that child runs into the road, we know exactly how she's feeling. So there are ways to access the inner lives of characters that are very powerful, powerful experience for the audience, which is something to be understood and studied by screenwriters. The camera is what you're writing for. It's the emotional and dramatic content of the scene rather than the dialogue that's important, the subtext. And the camera can explore action and movement and gesture and reaction. And often it's what is not said that's more important than what is actually said. The real feeling between the lines, and action and image and sound, and the juxtaposition of these is what creates uniquely cinematic moments. And you can do that on the page.